Aloha,
Hi, everyone.
everyone. We have the amazing Athene here, creator of the Crystal Ball Pocket Oracle, the Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle, and now the amazing Unfolding Path
Hi, everyone.
Tarot. So, if I remember right, you used to be the White Witch, is that right?
The White Witch Oracle, yes, I kind of did a bit of a rebrand just before the tarot kind of. I don't know if it was before I started working on the tarot or before I brought the tarot out, but it was pre the tarot that I kind of decided I was due it was actually before it launched, not I was still in the middle of creating it when I did a little rebrand.
Mm-hmm. And how long had you been working on this deck?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Basically, just before the Witches Familiar launched. So I'd completed doing all the artwork and I was now working on the Kickstarter, and that process had started. I was starting to do the first of the artworks for Unfolding Path. So yeah, which was it was the middle of the first lockdown, I think. Yeah, in the UK. So April,
So I just
I think.
noticed something here.
Yeah.
So my copy just happens to be copy number 8.
There you go.
That's so funny. So I actually got this as part of my backing. So I'm also a Kickstarter backer, obviously.
Yeah, there we go. Thank
39. So how was this explosion of a deck for you? Like this Kickstarter, I mean, it felt like it went off a bit bigger even than this one did. So
yes, I suppose when you're right in the middle of it, it didn't feel that different to me, I think, because the first one was the first one, so it was really full on. And then I had a bit more experience with the second one, but any like extra was just, it was still part of that feeling of freneticness and just running to keep up with everything. So I wouldn't say that I experienced it differently. I was in different locations because I live on a boat. This is a boat. And
you live on a barge, yes.
Yes. So that was different, but there was still this like sort of intensity for me personally with both of them, because the one was a completely new experience and then the second one was amazing. So I don't like feel like I experienced them differently, really.
Right. Well, you were
I
in
think
literally 2 different locations, so of course it felt completely different.
yeah. So
Do you find that living on the barge influenced your art style at all, or the ideas you had about things?
I think it sort of, I do tend to, okay, there were a lot, obviously there's humans in the Unfolding Path, but
Right.
I do think that it does connect me more deeply with nature. So I do feel like I'm surrounded by nature, so I kind of want to draw it into what I create. And I do have a tendency to drift towards flowers and animals and stuff like that.
Right.
As I said, the Unfolding Path was a very conscious, like sort of more human deck. But like my deck I'm working on now, the new one, again, I'm sort of shifting back towards animals again. So I do have a tendency to, yeah, it's that kind of nature runs through everything. It's like I step out my door and I'm in nature. We all do, don't we? But I suppose when you're living on water, surrounded by more actual wildlife, although in Britain it's not, we're not talking zebras here, but it's the waterfowl and
Right.
you know the smaller creatures. But it's you really experience your connection to the seasons more, and you do feel more connected to nature on the boat, I have to say.
So, can we follow up a little bit on the new deck? Can you tell us a little more about it?
Okay, it's a love oracle. it's another 13 card deck, because I think it's again, it's for kind of quick answers to set you straight if you take it on a date. Is this the one? Is this not the one?
Right.
And I tend to, it's fairly no nonsense. It's not like sort of, you're not going to have like sort of angels kind of singing to you with the cards. It's going to be like, nah, not this one. Or, yeah, there's
Right.
possibilities here. You won't be getting any like, oh my God, it's your soulmate, because we're still responsible for, our choices and our actions. But yeah, it's a sister, much more of a sister to Crystal Ball than the others are. So 13 cards, same size, same kind of straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Yes, no. Right. No, and there's the yes.
Yeah, and the no means no.
Right. So for those of you who don't have this deck, and how do you find reading with your decks mixed together, like using them together in a reading?
Yes. When you said mixed together, like I don't put them in a
No,
pile
no,
together.
no, not shuffled together, just
yeah.
mixed on the spread.
It depends on the questions I'm asking, and I would say the Crystal Ball Pocket Oracle is definitely like sort of pop it in the handbag, in the back pocket, out on the go. When I'm like sort of, when I want something very clear, if I'm not looking for depth, if I want just like sort of a short, sharp, clear bang, that's what I use Crystal Ball for. If I'm looking for something with more subtlety, if I'm delving deeper, if I want to explore more aspects of a situation, I will then use the tarot or the Runic Oracle, where you just get a little bit more like meat. And then obviously, if I'm sitting there with the tarot reading and I'm like, and what does this mean? What are you trying to tell me, universe? Because I'm stumped, Then I will often whip out the crystal ball for a bit of clarity and try and sort of, say, okay, now stop your nonsense. Tell me something clear.
Right, exactly. So which card did you find in the tarot to be the hardest one for you to create?
I struggled with the Hierophant.
The Hierophant.
Redrew that one. I think there's like a couple that I redrew, but I come from a very like fundamentalist Christian religious family. Mm-hmm. So for me, my initial interpretation, which was very early on, so that's the new dude. The old dude was much harder and starker and judgy and cold and aloof. And that was how, at that time, I was feeling about, religion, and like sort of, that was just the space I was in. And as I'd worked through the tarot, when I finally got to the end, I was just like, I'm not feeling this anymore. That actually, I feel like there's a wisdom and a warmth and a guidance that now feels more right. So I sat down and I redid him. Mm-hmm. And I feel much more in tune with that version. The first one was definitely
harsh,
not a nice guy. It was the less pleasant side of the Hierophant.
He definitely seems warm and inviting to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll see that the symbols of so many religions are around the scarf around his neck. So he's all embracing.
I love that. What was the easiest one for you to paint?
I don't know. There's 78 of them.
I know, right? Well, how about this? Which one did you start with?
I started with the High Priestess.
The High Priestess.
Because she's my favorite, like in general, before I started the deck, she's my favorite card. And so I knew I was going to get it wrong. And sorry, I got someone stupid on my phone. I knew I was going to get it wrong because the same thing happened with the Runic Oracle, where with multiple cards, you end up very good, Kitty. So by the time you come to the end of a deck, when there's been this whole process, stylistically, all sorts of things have shifted in the journey. It takes on its own life. So you think you're going to start and it's going to be this thing over here. And by the time you finished, it's a completely different beast. So because I love her so much, I was kind of going, okay, I'm going to do her. I'm going to do my best version of her, but I will probably redo her. So what is the card that I would love to do twice? So the High Priestess was the one I was like, I'm actually looking forward to taking another run at this. And she's completely I mean, some of the stuff that I'd wanted to express in the first one, I still expressed with her.
Yeah.
So, but I think I hit the mark more accurately the second time round. And she's still like she's very much one of my favorites that came out of the deck.
Oh, this is probably one of my favorite High Priestesses of all times. I just love her. Well, I have a special bond with the High Priestess card personally because she's the High Priestess of my soul card. So.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I do love the amount of diversity in here, and I'm assuming that was pretty
intentional.
Intentional. Thank you. I was missing a word there. Is there anything that you wish you had done differently with the deck?
I think as much as I tried to get diversity in there as much as possible, I still feel like I missed some corners. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I will have missed people who will not look at the deck and be able to find themselves. There still will be cases of that. And I think that's one of the key things is I will still have missed some people in the whole process. I tried to be very intentional and very conscious to the point where I did the majors first. And in doing them, when I came to the end of them, I realized that I'd have to actually plan better because I was kind of going, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'll try and include, a person from this group. But I was still much more hit and miss with the majors. So I was like, okay, with the suits, I'm going to have to actually go, this is now a plan so that I can make sure that I'm hitting things more accurately. So I intentionally divided the suits up into ethnicities, for lack of a better word. So, yeah, I try to be much more deliberate about it because I didn't want to leave it to kind of fickle chance that I was going to,
I mean, Two of Cups is a good example right here.
That's one of my favorites. I mean, there are a few favorites, but I really do. I do love them.
This one, yeah, I love this Two of Cups. It's an amazing Two of Cups. Yeah, I've been using the deck quite a bit myself for readings, and I love the voice of the deck. When I was going through it, there was one thing that kind of threw me at first, but now I'm okay with it. And that's the Chariot and Strength together.
Okay.
Yeah, just because when I first saw the Chariot, I hadn't seen Strength yet, and I was like, "Oh, is this Strength? Oh, wait, no, that's right, it's the Chariot." So
now,
but I see the difference now because
yes,
one is
she's riding the one. It's the one thing.
Right.
Yes. So. And if you look at the original Rider-Waite, there's like the little sphinxes are slightly stripy in my way I see them. and there's the kind of the starry banner and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm
Right. No,
alerts
and I
coming from my
totally
phone.
see the cards now. It was just that initial like, wait, woman with a big cat, is that strength? Because
Strength,
we're so used to seeing a woman and a
yes,
cat for the strength card, right? So I
yeah,
really appreciate that new take on the chariot there,
cool.
right? Because it is a lot about inner strength to be able to
Mm,
guide your path.
personal power.
So yeah, I just wanted to show that for people to see
Mm,
that because it's like it did, like I said, just for someone who's been like so used to woman and cat means strength, seeing it as the chariot is just it just brings it to another level. So I appreciate
cool.
that. And you don't see many female hermits, right?
Mm.
And I'm a Virgo, so I love this card.
Yeah, so and obviously like sort of her age, I wanted to like sort of have age diversity in there as well. So she was the one of the first older woman because I
Woman.
hadn't come back to high priestess at that point.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
And I was gonna ask you these like jagged. Is that
People
the
have asked
energy
me
coming
that.
off?
So honestly, this is purely an artistic thing. It was I when I was creating the first high priestess, I literally it just felt empty. I was like, I need something, and I was just playing with different things to try
Mhm.
and create. I don't know what the right word would be, but like as an illustrator, you'll kind of it just sometimes it just something doesn't feel finished. It just doesn't
Right.
feel right, and sometimes you might just make a scratch or something like
Hmm.
a swirl or whatever, and you'll go, oh, okay, now that little thing finished it. And as I was playing with different options, those like sort of little jaggedy lines worked. I was like, oh, that works. So it literally was just a creative thing. But since then, because I was asked a few times, you'll see on the darker cards, they
Hmm.
have purely black lines, but on the more light filled cards, you'll see white lines coming in.
Right.
And yeah, so I did eventually start going, okay, well, I'm actually going to use this previously purely design element and I'm going to give it a little bit of meaning in this instance.
Right.
So there's also, you'll see with a lot of them, there's black
Well, like
and white
the high
lines.
priestess,
Yeah, so
they're black on one side and white on the other. Yeah.
exactly. And then obviously I'm being very subtle here, but there's obviously the two pillars, the black and the white pillar
Right.
on the original one. So I did start playing with meaning, but it didn't start as something that was a meaning thing, but
Right.
it's developed that way as these things do. The deck very much create like, yes, I'm drawing, but the deck kind of creates itself, where I find that when I recognize the artwork, for lack of a better word, so I will draw and there will come a moment of, oh, I know you. I know you.
Uh-huh.
I've known you before. I know you. That is when I know that I finished it. Because it's like I know it and I recognize it.
Hmm. What? Yeah. There's definitely like a familiarity to these characters that like it's like I know them from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? There's definitely
Like
that
real people.
feel. Like I could almost place them in my own life.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, that makes me feel really happy hearing that.
Mhm. So I we've been bad. We haven't said hello to everybody yet, but aloha to everybody. I know Heather was in here, and then Deanne, Blue Crescent Tarot, Tarot Stash. Hello, Gerald. Um, And anybody who's lurking, if anyone has questions for Athene, please put them in all caps, and I will make sure to pop them up on the screen so she can see them as
Yeah,
well.
I can't see. I'm on my phone.
You're right, but you can either see me and interact or see the text. So
The chat.
yeah, the chat. Oh,
And you'll just have to ask the questions on their behalf.
exactly. That's okay. That's why I was going to put them up on screen like this. See? Howdy, everyone.
I will have to
I'm
lean in
happy to be here
really
for this
close.
conversation.
Awesome.
Hi, Gerald. So can you talk a little bit about the...
Actually, I struggled with that one.
You started with this one.
No, struggled.
Oh, struggled. Okay. Struggled. Yeah.
She was a bit of a challenge. I wanted, I don't know, to have elements of the change of perspective, seeing things from a new position, but a certain amount of surrender, but also not completely I mean, this is just my personal thing, not completely helpless.
Right.
So, like, she is in the upside down position. There's like part of her is relaxed, but she has English.
I feel like she's in control, right?
Yes, she still has her. Why can't I speak? There's a word. There's a particular word. Oh, it'll come to me. But
both of us are having brain farts today, so that's okay. Anonymity.
Yes, I didn't want it to be completely helpless.
Yeah. Right. She's still got her self-worth, and she could take herself out of that situation at a time, but she chooses to be there for the wisdom that she's gaining. Right?
Exactly.
And I love the tire.
I try to like sort of have like sort of some fun elements here and there, not always the obvious choice.
Right. Gerald also says, I like how you've incorporated artistic design features and allowed it to lead to something else.
Thank you.
Deanne says there's still a form she has. She's being intentional in her stillness. Yes, exactly. Right. And then Heather says the flexibility. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and we have a lurker. Hi, Pamela. Okay. Another card that I just absolutely adore is the Death card.
Yes, that's one of my favorites as well. I think High Priestess and Death are two of my favorite. I mean, and Two of Cups. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was happy with how that one worked out.
It's just a beautiful Death card. And then if you do reversals and you get this coming out, then you're like, oh, okay. Right.
It's just like sort of two sides, like sort of the gold and the silver. And if you look at the flowers, you can see some of the flowers are more alive, some are darker, and they look like they're starting to die a little bit more. So two sides of a, same coin.
Well, I love how the flower that's more alive is closer to the skull, and the one the flower that's dying is
closer to her.
Yeah.
It's kind of this constant birth, death, rebirth cycle.
It's very yin yang. And you can see the infinity symbol too. So I love this Death card.
Thank you.
This whole deck is just like breathtaking, I gotta say.
Thank you. I'm really happy with how it came out. I mean, it's hard to see sometimes when you're in the middle of it, but I am happy with how it ended up coming out, and I do think it grew over the process of the 2 years. The characters, and I think it's actually good that I started with the mages because they are, I think, a little more aloof in general, and I think they become much more real and everyday as I kind of went into the suits, and it wasn't even intentional. I think I'm rocking this camera up and down. That wasn't even intentional. It just happened that way. I didn't think, oh, now I'm going to make these people much more real people. I didn't. It was just like, oh, this one's got a t-shirt on. He dressed himself in
Right.
the morning. I barely even chose the outfit.
I
It
mean, the
just
Knight
kind
of
of,
Swords right here. I just love the cheek of the Knight of Swords. Just that
yes,
wink and just kind of tie undone and ready to just keep
there you
going.
go.
Yeah, I mean, the whole deck is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I love. Speaking of twos, here's the Two of Wands.
Mm.
That's an amazing Two of Wands. Yeah.
So like they like sort of it's that imminent activity that's just on the brink.
Hmm.
And I think like dressed accordingly.
Oh, and gorgeous Queen of Wands too.
Thank you. I love the queens and the way they came out. I really enjoyed doing the queens. I must say, I did enjoy those a lot.
You know what? I think I am going to pull out the queen so we can see them next to each other.
Which of the queens is your favorite?
Well, I'm always particular to the Queen of Cups personally. And I love the Queen of Cups in this deck too.
Thank you.
I really, at being a Virgo, I'm connected to the Queen of Pentacles. So
She's
that.
actually my favorite. Queen of
She's your favorite.
Pentacles.
She's one of my favorites, actually. I was gonna say usually my favorite is the Queen of Cups, and I love this Queen of Cups, but the Queen of Pentacles.
Mm.
She's
So
just so playful and
and you see she's barefoot. So
right.
she's kind of connected to the earth. Yeah, I was happy with her. I mean, she's like sort of there's all the wealth in the chair and the abundance, but there's still I wanted her to have that kind of incredible abundance, but still that real connection to earth.
So fire and water, earth and air.
I wouldn't mess with the Queen of Swords.
No,
She scares
Queen
me
of Swords
so.
means business. They're all just, I mean, yeah. I love all those queens, truthfully. I mean, how can you pick one out of these four when they're all so unique and gorgeous in their own right?
They were great to create. I really enjoyed them.
Oh.
Maybe it's being female. I enjoyed creating strong women. I mean, the guys were fine, but I enjoyed them on an average level. But there was just something much more, I don't know, engaging for me personally as the artist creating the queens.
Right. Let's look at the kings. And while I'm pulling out the kings, Gerald, I like the white border that varies slightly based on the images. A soft border that doesn't limit the images but allows it to grow and expand. Yes.
Thank you.
I agree with that one, Gerald, completely. Okay. I almost have the kings. I'm also pulling out the knights.
And don't forget the Page of Pentacles. That's another of my favorites.
Page, yeah.
Of Pentacles.
Oh, I love
Young
the
me has a crush on him.
Too. Let me see. Where is that page? Oh, I see why. Yes. Oh my God, I love that Page of Pentacles too. This Page of Pentacles is everything.
Is it okay for me to have a crush on my own artwork?
Sure.
I would so fancy him. Oh, look, he's way too young for me now. Young me would have been madly in love. Older me still has a crush.
Okay, let us look at the kings real quick, because the kings are powerful in their own right too. Oh, of course, I did it backwards. Fire and water. Air and earth.
So I've tried to kind of capture some of the emotion that I associate with the kings and the elements and the suits. So like with the King of Cups, I've kind of gone for almost like a Scandinavian royalty, laid back, chill kind of, not king, you know. So that
Right.
much more like sort of the kind of king that cycles to work, the way that like the Scandinavian royal families are very chill, as opposed to the much more kind of, you know, I am the king.
Like that King of Swords there.
Exactly. Don't mess with that dude.
No. And then I pulled out wait. I thought I had pulled out all the knights. Page of Swords. I love that. I have all the knights except the Knight of Wands. What did I do with that? I probably haven't pulled it out. Oh, foot at the bottom. That's fine.
It's amazing. Like sort of like I created the deck and you saw Knight of Wands and I'm suddenly, what do the Knight of Wands look like? And like, yes, now I remember. There we go.
Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups.
Our charming, romantic Knight of Cups.
Yeah, that Knight of Cups definitely. I could see him sweeping anybody off their feet with romance and
from the heart. Like you can trust that dude way more than you can trust the cheeky, winking Knight of Swords.
Right.
If you're doing a romance reading, you know which one you want to pull.
Well, I don't know. That Knight of Pentacles is really cool too. I love that he had 2 men, 2 women. Keep it balanced. Right?
There we go.
And we see the Page of Cups. Oh, I gotta show off the Ace of Cups. That one's gorgeous.
Yeah. Again, like sort of the aces I quite enjoyed creating as well.
Yes.
I mean, there were ones that I really I struggled with the darker cards.
So much.
Huh?
The Page of Cups. I love the Page of Cups.
Oh, I'm very happy with him as well. I think when there's light and happiness in the card meaning, I found them much easier to create. I struggled with some of the darker cards. I think that's when you asked me what was more challenging. I think the darker cards are more challenging. It's just because creating, you kind of slightly go into that space, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So you kind of got to feel some of it. You're trying to create, well, at least when I'm drawing something, I'm trying to get an emotion, a feeling across. So some of that feeling has to be there during the process. So it can be difficult. I'm not saying like, oh, dramatic, depressed artist, but more it's like.
Well, I went straight for the swords when you said that, right? Let's look at the 3 of Swords.
Actually, I'm happy with how she turned out. I have to say, I think the dark cups, the darker cups, I think I struggled more with. Actually, if I'm remembering correctly,
the darker cups.
Oh no, darker pentacles. Yeah. Hang on. There's a cup. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of across all of them. Yes, that was like it's hard to like sort of it's hard to kind of get the darker shadow sides across, but for me personally, that's the reason I like the tarot. I think it's essential not to avoid the more shadow sides because you can't have truth without shadow and light. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to make everything happy and frilly and smiley because you'll never ever access truth that way. So yeah, you kind of have to go there.
Right. Like.
Yeah.
5 of
miserable
Cups.
As anything.
Yeah.
Absolute despair.
And you can see like the misery just shooting out of her.
And that's an example there where if you look around her, she's only got black lines and she also only has black dots. So you'll see that I will use little white dots to kind of almost create a flow of magic or a flow of energy. Like the white dots tend to be a little bit more communicative.
Like in the page.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with the different cards, if there's a particularly dark, like sort of, if I feel that it requires it, I will only have the darker colors.
Like the 8 has
Yeah.
the dark around the cups, but then you have the white ones and
on the
like
side.
where they're heading, right?
Yeah.
In the future. Leaving the darkness behind and heading towards the light. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I've tried to like use it in those kind of ways, and I'm glad you picked up on that, because you don't know when you're creating something, am I just doing this and it's in my head? Is anyone going to notice this? So I'm really glad that you did notice.
So Gerald says the 3 of Swords t-shirt has a great merchandise potential. I'd buy a t-shirt like that one she's wearing. Hint, hint, hint.
Cool. I'll think about it.
And I think he agrees with me that that's a really great page.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he says, it's too soon for me to pick my favorite cards. I've been reading with the deck, and I want to lay all the suits out in order, I'm guessing, to see the flow and relationships between suits and numbers. Yes, I can pick up what you're putting down. And for those who are always wondering, 8 of Wands. I love that he's just kind of like surfing one of the wands.
There you go.
Here we go.
Zoom.
Hold on for the ride.
Exactly. Who doesn't want to ride a wand?
And I was looking for 10 of Wands.
Right.
Because that's another dark one to like think about.
Yes.
But you do see that there's white.
You see, for me, there is hope at the end. Do you know what I'm saying? So it is in some ways dark, but it's
there's still light there.
It's like a kind of a hold on. You know, you're almost there.
Oh, speaking of wands, I have to share one of my favorites.
Yes.
4 of Wands. I love this one. That's such a sweet one.
That one worked out well as well.
And I definitely see the flower influence. Lots of flowers.
Yes.
So let's see. Oh, I'm like, I just want to show off the whole deck, truthfully. Well, here's a good one. The 4 of Pentacles. Right. Clutching it all in his bag. And it's interesting that only the pentacles have those little white dots around them. That's the only thing that brings him joy, right?
Yeah. But
So
his attachment is a little bit not great.
One of my favorite 8 of Pentacles. Yeah. That's an amazing.
Again, it's like that devotion to craft, that years and years of steady, work.
Reaching
excellence.
More practice. Yeah. Yes, here we go. Here's one of the negatives.
Yeah, exactly. That was a hard card to do. I even just struggled on how do I portray this? How do I portray this? It was just weird. Like some cards, you kind of go, okay, now I'm going to do this, and it's like the idea, it's like there. And other cards, it's just like,
what do I do?
What do I do? And it's just, it is easier to like sort of the ideas do flow more easily with the lighter cards. But I think that's just a personal, like a human thing. Like we move towards the light more easily. Energy flows in the light more easily.
Like the 3 of Pentacles. Yes. I love the 3 of Pentacles. That's a good one.
So it's like all the kind of the teamwork. So the bees creating the honey,
pollinated the
fertilizing the flowers, which create the apples.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
The cat has an opinion. Your cat has an
Oh,
opinion.
he's a Siamese or mostly Siamese. He's a rescue cat. My husband's veterinarian, and he brought home a cat that had been run over,
Oh,
and he's now blind. But
shame,
when he
poor
wants
kitty.
something, he starts mewing, and he can hear me talking. So now he's coming over here. Hi, honey.
Oh,
Hi, buddy.
poor
How
kitty.
you doing? This is another one that I love because you don't often see men in the Nine of Pentacles cards.
I
Being a
thought it
Virgo
was nice to do
being
a bit
the
of a
Nine of
switcheroo.
Pentacles. Hi,
Oh,
sweetie. What's the
luscious
matter, little
abundance.
one? Okay, don't walk all over the cards, please. You're okay, buddy. I know. Oh, Mom. You're sweet. Yes, you are. Okay. Now we've covered some of the minors. Let's look at a few more of the majors. It's just been staring me in the face, and I'm like, I have to throw Temperance because I love this Temperance card. Not even holding the cups.
There we go. It's all about the magic.
Right.
I did try and bring a little bit of that in here and there, like sort of, I mean, so for me, those threads of dots with the little sparkles, and that's kind of a thread of magic running through the deck. And
Right.
off the top, I can't off the top of my head like give you other cards, but that kind of, well, I mean, like sort of riding a wand, that's magic. Oh yes, and there you go. You'll see there's no white dots and no, they all like sort of, except for the
chain. The white dots
chain,
are all
yes.
about the chain.
The
It's like we want
appeal,
to
the
be chained.
attraction of that addiction.
Right. That's a powerful double card.
Yeah, but around the back of him, it's all the dark lines. But that's lure of.
But he's
the thing
luring
that
with
will
that
trap you.
sparkle of the gold chain. Yeah. Let's see. Deanne says, yes, energy flows in the light more easily. That's saying so much, really. I'm not about toxic positivity, but once we sit with the feeling, it's best to look to the light to get the energy flowing. Yes, Deanne. Oh, hi again. Didn't I already get ready?
It's attention.
Hi, sweetie. Okay, you're stomping all over the cards again. Here, why don't you sit right here? You just sit right here. Okay. Oh, the tower. I like the fact that the tower is kind of more in the background. It's more about her fall more than anything.
Yes, I wanted to make the person more central because obviously in the traditional one, they're kind of these itty bitty specks. And I wanted that complete swirling out of control falling to be much more central to the whole feeling of the card.
Give me a little time. You're okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, and the star.
I love the star. I just love her.
That's
just
all
like
you have to say. I mean, it's a beautiful star.
I sat like sort of one of the things that happens again when I know that I've got it right, or at least for myself, when I feel I've got it right, is when I can't stop staring at the finished art. Like I'll literally just stand there and stare at it on the, because I work on the iPad, and I will just stare at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will like sort of,
her
I'll be getting
eyes
ready for
definitely
bed.
draw you in. Her eyes just pull you in. That's for sure.
And I just like kept coming back, like brushing my teeth, staring at the iPad, washing my face, come back, stare at the iPad. So just, I don't know. I was like really just transfixed with her after I'd finished her. She was one of those that I was just like, even though it's my own, I know
right.
I feel very bad.
You know what? I always find the art that's the most powerful is the one that affects the artist too.
You've got to feel something. I mean, like I want to communicate emotion, but I've also got to feel emotion to be able to communicate it, or something along those lines.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah.
You're really being a needy little boy right now, aren't you? Is there any cards anyone in the chat specifically wants to see? I'm gonna just go through these last few ones here. I know I kind of skipped some of the ones at the beginning.
I struggle with the moon card.
The moon.
I've been back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on that card. It's like, and then I was like, this card is creating anxiety in me. I guess that's right. You know, I mean, it's,
Even looking at it now?
Yeah,
Even now?
No, I've accepted it now. I'm like, okay. When I had this realization that I was feeling anxious about the card, and I was like, yeah, okay, so it's doing the right thing. So my anxiety, like, I will accept my anxiety. If that's what it's eliciting, then let the card be, because that kind of is part of the thing.
It is a powerful moon card. It's beautiful. Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's doing the job she was supposed to do, even if it kind of made me really uncomfortable for a while. It was all, I
have another lurker having a request here. Protect my energy AAC would like to see the 8 of Swords. Let's see. I did not. I've got them in suits, but I did not organize them. So my apologies. Here we go. Of course, it's literally the last one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw my Instagram post, but when I kind of like sort of showed that finished work, I cropped it so that you couldn't see the top of the sword, so it looked much more like a jail.
Oh, so kind of like that.
When you go in close, yes, when you go in close, she's in jail. But as soon as you pull back and you get a wider perspective on things, you suddenly realize that nothing's holding her in there at all. She literally is just sitting behind a row of swords. She could stand up and walk out anytime she wants. Right. Nothing is holding there but herself.
This is how she's seeing it.
Yes, but reality is completely different. And that's reality.
Oh my God, little man. Come here, you. He's being a very needy little man right now. So this is Maul. Say hi to everyone, Maul.
Where's a good kitty?
Okay. You just chill for a little bit, okay?
I pulled it out because you haven't brought it up, but this is one of my other favorite cards.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'll get in the camera.
So
I really, really love the world. She was another one.
That one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's gorgeous.
She was another one that I sat and stared at a little bit afterwards.
I could see why. The other one that I really love, I love the sun card.
I hope he's bringing out that joy, radiant. Well, I'm hoping that's what he's communicating.
He is joy, like, right? I could totally hear him laughing in his contagious laughter, right?
Yeah, I hope that came across.
Yes. So we did show it, Heather, right when you asked.
There you go.
No need to apologize for time to find it. Apologies accepted for initiating my ad to my wish list. Yes, and then Judgment. That's a powerful Judgment card.
Thank you. And they again,
you don't see the resurrection happening, but it's what you would see as your resurrection, I'm guessing. Oh my God, you are being insistent, little man.
He's very keen to be involved. And again, with that question about the lines, that is where I completely got rid of all the black lines. Everything's white, all the light. So I think that might have been the first card where I decided to use the lines as more than just a kind of like a creative artifact.
Mm-hmm.
and I started kind of giving it like sort of some meaning. But again, as I said, it's not every card. It's just when it seems appropriate, I've kind of made little tweaks to it.
I mean, it's appropriate. I mean, I love how you used it because it definitely adds another layer. I mean, the Knight of Cups, those white dots become his helmet. Right?
There we go. Yes. So I don't know why I did that with the knights, but I just suddenly felt like they needed a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more something, because they've all got a helmet of sorts.
Yeah.
They've all got a little helmet.
I got a helmet of light.
Even Cheeky Monkey.
The cheeky monkey.
The Cheeky Monkey even has one.
They all have them. And they all have, yeah. I saw a couple. The King of Cups has a crown of them too.
A lot of like sort of that wasn't intended as a crown though. I don't think.
No.
Can't remember, but I don't think so. I think it was for some. I have no idea.
No, I see what it is. It's part of the decorations that they all have on their faces. Yeah.
Yes. So
But it almost comes across
as
a crown there, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So with some of them, you'll see, and again, not every single time, but I have brought in like so just to step back to the moon, you'll see the lobster on her as a tattoo.
Oh yeah, it's the tattoo.
And
then here's the
kind of white body art.
Empress.
There you go. And you can't really see it, but again, it's the
on her
symbol
belly,
on her stomach.
Right?
Yeah.
I
can't get
rid of you, can I? What are you doing, little boy? Oh my goodness. Emperor.
But sometimes it's decorative, sometimes there's a little bit of extra something. So on the sun, if I remember, like remembering, I think I drew a circle, which is like sort of the alchemical symbol for sun on the dude's head. But again, it's sometimes it's decorative, sometimes it has greater meaning.
Oh my God. I just can't get rid of you, can I, little man? What are you doing? Now you're showing everyone your butt. You just go over here and chill, okay? One thing I like to do is compare the lovers with the Two of Cups. What did I do with the Two of Cups?
Both of those cards were starey cards as well. We had kind of brush teeth, stare at iPad. They're actually surprisingly similar.
Yeah.
I had never put them next to each other. There's a little bit more like, oh, actually,
it's almost like there's a
bit of passion in both.
It's almost like these two over here are sisters, and then this is who they're with.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. You know what? They both have freckles as well. That's so interesting. Totally unintended. I never laid them next to each other like that. But you're right. By the way, like sort of, this is fake red hair, but my mummy's a redhead and I got freckles.
So, are those you?
Subconsciously, something's going on there that I completely wasn't aware of. You just busted me. You busted me live.
Oh, sorry. And we all know it now.
There we go. And I know
my God.
I wasn't
and this
aware
little
of
boy
it.
is refusing to give up.
There we go.
What do you want, little
the
man?
Kitty just wants to love.
You want the lovins? You want the lovins? Is that what you want? Oh my God, little man. Okay, you are gonna mess up all the cards. Okay, there you go. You're fine. Don't go any further. I'm protecting the cards now.
There we go. It's because
Hello, Miss Tarot D. And we just, Gerald said that Athene already talked about the decoration on the face. Well, we kind of covered it a little just now. But as you said, some of them were intentional, some of them were just decoration.
Decorative, because I'd started doing it. And okay, so this is an example of where the deck goes its own way. Like it's its own creature, where I will start in one place with an thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And by the time I get to the end, it's like, you totally took a different path. You just created yourself as it went along. So I'd had this one picture in my head of what I thought I was going to do, and this kind of body art was part of it, and it just kind of went off in another direction. And I was like, well, we got body art there, we're going to just stick with the body art as we go along. And sometimes I used it to communicate messages, and sometimes I was just like, you're going to get 3 dots on your cheek, and that's your body art, you know. But they are, like, if you pay attention, you will see some of them have additional bits and pieces.
Yes, here's the 3 dots on the cheek.
There you go. He didn't need much more. He was perfect.
I love this 6 of Pentacles here.
She just does feel like it's like all embracing, generous, warm.
Well, on her, she's got a dot on each cheek, 3 dots on her chin, and then something going on here that almost looks like a Mindy.
So it's that would have been much more just decorative. I didn't like sort of play with meanings like I did with say the Empress, for example, with her belly and stuff like that.
I love this 2 of Pentacles. That's a great one.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with him as well. It's a rather fabulously dressed young man.
And that finally someone in the 7 of Pentacles who's happy to wait. I love how there's sparkles around the new shoot.
No, it's that new life germinating. Yeah. It's the beginning, and it's gonna grow into everything that's behind her.
I love this 10 of Pentacles too.
Yeah, I hope that kind of communicates that feeling of ancestry and again, the words are leaving me. That inherited ancestral wealth, whether it is in your bloodline, whether it's your talents, whether it's actual tangible finances, just generational through the ages.
Makes sense. Yeah. Oh, I see Kristen Louise is here too. Hi, Kristen Louise. Where is she? Oh, I'm fashionably late. And Miss Tarot D says, I love the Athene. What a way for spirit to take over the art.
But it does feel like that sometimes. I mean, I think I'm going this way and I end up somewhere completely different. You just go with the flow. And you know you've done it when you recognize it.
Is there any other cards anyone wants to see? We are coming up on the hour. And I know it's late for Athene. So, there was one more I wanted to show, which was, I guess, 2 more here. This one, though, is the one that really, I love this 2 of Swords. It's like she's ready for action. She just got to figure out which side is she going to use.
Which direction and which sword.
Yeah. And then a very different 6 of Swords, but you can see going from the dark into the light.
Yeah. so there's that use of that it's another case where I did use it, and she actually was one I struggled with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was one I think it is when you're in the dark place, even though you are moving to the light, I still it's all of those that I
Yeah.
really struggled with.
I love the little dog in there with her too. But yes, I see what you mean though about like, well, because it's so personal, each of those dark
Mm,
places. Like each of
mm.
us experiences it in a different way. So whereas the light seems to be a universal thing, whereas the dark
And
is
it's
more of a personal thing.
and also when you're wanting to create something that is still beautiful, it's sometimes hard to do the dark and have it similar, like sort of, it's easy to make the light beautiful. It's much harder to make darkness aesthetically pleasing. And I don't always feel like when I do the dark cards that I've managed to hit that mark always.
Right.
They just so much harder from an aesthetic point of view, as well as from the communicating the emotions thing. It's so much easier to make light aesthetically beautiful. It was
Hmm.
the experience that I had with this deck,
Yeah.
because whenever I hit up against something, it was one of the dark cards where I was like, it's not just flowing out of me and landing on the
Hmm.
on the page. It's
You have to pull it
you know,
out. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I get that.
much harder.
Of course, Miss Tara D. Here is the Hermit and the Crone and
Death.
Death.
Although that wasn't hard to do, but then again, I don't think I associate that much shadow to death. I feel the transformation much more.
Right. Well, death is one of those things that are inevitable, and even though
Mm,
people try and not look at it, it's something worth looking at, I think,
mm.
which makes sense. Thank you, Heather. Yes. Please remember to hit that like button, y'all. Wonderful show, must share. Thank you for being here, Athene. And
Pleasure.
your next little mini deck, when should we expect that?
If I can get my tail into gear, I've got 2.5, well, 2 3/4. So I'm on the third last card. So I think I've done 10 and I'm now on 11, and it's a 13 card deck again. So I am hoping to launch a Kickstarter in October.
October. Okay.
Yes.
So very
So
soon.
fingers and toes crossed
So
that I
best
can
way to
apply
stay in
myself.
touch with you is following on Instagram.
Yes. I'm being a bit rubbish at the moment, but I am posting when I've completed some art. I'm a couple of artworks behind. I've got 2 that I need to post, and tonight I'll actually probably post one.
Okay.
So yes,
And I
Instagram is pretty
believe
much the
the
best place.
Instagram link is in the description.
I don't know.
I believe I put it in the description. I can't look at the description right now.
I can't. All I can see is you and me, basically.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amazing death card. Yeah. And then Deanne says, death is reminiscent of Marcel, 2 of Pence, and now I want to write an essay about their link to each other. I love that, Deanne. Yes, Ms. Tardy says, death can be a beautiful thing and a part of evolution. Mm-hmm. Definitely. So this amazing little set of decks can be found on Athene's Etsy. I also have her website, I think, and Etsy links in the description
Thank you.
for all 3 of these decks.
The crystal ball is actually on sale right now while
Oh,
stocks last. So if
good to
people
know.
want to nab it, now would be the time.
Thank you so much for that, Deanne. Yeah, that's the link directly for the tarot. And yes, I did put the Instagram link in the description. Perfect.
Awesome.
And as Gerald likes to remind us, purchase responsibly, know your limits.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Athene, and I look
It's been
forward
lovely
to
chatting to you.
your next.
And this, by the way, in case everyone doesn't realize this is the first live I've ever done. So, first time I've actually appeared in public. Ooh.
Anywhere?
Anywhere.
Oh, I'm honored.
Well,
Thank you so much for joining me here. Yes.
It's been fun.
Thank you,
I've enjoyed it.
Gerald. Purchase responsibly, know your limits.
Awesome.
Aloha, everybody. We will
Bye,
see you
guys.
next time.